Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope you and your family are safe. Thank you very much for joining us today. And I hope you enjoyed the previous presentations on IT security, endpoint management, and IT service management. And you must also be pretty excited about what ManageEngine got in IT operations category. And I'm here to do that job. So before we start, I would like to get a quick confirmation from you all. If you can hear me well and see the presentation slides, please use the webinar chat panel and type yes. Let us wait for a couple of confirmation and then we can get started. All right, as many of you have confirmed that I'm loud and clear and also see the slides. So let's begin. My name is Suresh Bagavathy, evangelist for ManageEngine IT Operations Suite. Before I ended up in this role, I was working as a support engineer with IT operations technical team and helped customers and prospects around the globe to make best use of IT operations products in their organization. So that is about me, and let's move on and see what we have today. So our today's topic is streamlining IT operations management strategies to ensure business continuity. So what are we going to discuss about streamlining the IT management? So in our agenda, first, we are going to talk about the recent changes in the network. So we're going to see how a typical IT infrastructure works and how it had changed recently due to this pandemic. And then we talk about some of the real-time scenarios, the challenges involved, and the possible solution for these challenges. So here we're going to discuss about addressing real-time VPN management challenges. I would say this is the topmost challenge faced by any administrators in the world today. And you need to work on the VPN connections, VPN bandwidth capacity, and so on. And once you fix the bandwidth capacity, it is still not enough. You need to make sure that you prioritize the traffic for the business critical applications, so you provide a better experience for your work from home users. And then the security management is a serious concern. So because organizations started adopting the bring your own devices policies of late, so you need to make sure that you address all the security issues as well. So you need to strengthen your security policies in order to fix these problems. And also there are challenges ahead with change and compliance management on the network devices and enhancing the end user experience. Of late, we could see that there are the video conferencing softwares and voice calls being used widely. So we have to make sure that we provide a better user experience for all the employees working from home and using these video conferencing tools. And finally, I'll introduce you to ManageEngine ITOM suite. We have a couple of products available under ITOM category, and we're going to see how IT operations products going to help you resolve the challenges or the problems that you have and provide a better experience for your work from home users. So with that, we'll move on to our first section, recent changes to network infrastructure. So I'm going to display a screen. So this is a basic topology diagram of the network where you see the switch that is connected in the network in LAN and the router that move packets between the network and the firewall that protects the network. And also there are a number of on-premises servers like Active Directory server, mail server, web server, proxy servers, database servers available in the network, and also some of the endpoint devices like mobile devices, iPad, and so on. So you all must agree with me that a couple of months exactly before this pandemic, we could see that the administrator had complete control over the network. They were happy with all these control. They had visibility and control over the bandwidth. So they know how much bandwidth is being used in the network, how much bandwidth an employee is using. They can determine how much bandwidth an employee can use. And also they had the track of the top applications contributing to the traffic, they ran regular audits to identify the security loophole, anomaly behavior in the network, and also they ensure that they have compliance standards, and they had a track of endpoint devices, network devices, and so on. But today, there is a transition in the state of IT. So a couple of months before this pandemic, we know that only 4 to 8% of the employees were allowed to work from home. But during this mid-COVID season, it rised up, and we could see that around 80 to 85% of the employees were allowed to work from home. And after this pandemic, almost everyone started working from home. And IT organizations were not ready for this pandemic, and they never knew that in a span of a couple of weeks, a couple of months, all their employees will work from home. So because of this, they had a lot of challenges ahead with VPN management, VPN bandwidth capacity management, and VPN connection issues, security issues, and so on. So the IT administrator, the IT team need to be ready. They have to be ready for this new normal. There is a need to increase the bandwidth, so they have to be ready for that. It is a overhead to IT cost during this crisis, but that is the way to go. This is the very challenge faced by any IT organizations in the world today. And what has changed? The network remains same, but the people who used to work from the office network are now working remotely. And these people use the office, the company laptop to connect to the corporate network. And also there are people who use their home laptops or mobile devices to get connected to the office network. And the company started slowly adopting this BYOD policies. And now it has become the remote users has become a easy target for the hackers, because the people who are try hard to break the corporate network, and now it has become easy for them to hack the remote users. So you need to make sure that you have a strong security policies in place, implemented in your network to fix all this. And slow connectivity is the very problem faced by all the remote users. So they are trying to access the key systems from the corporate network through VPN. And since there is a sudden rise in the number of people working from home, and it has become slow to access any application. And so this is the challenge that the administrators are facing today to solve this. And I would like to highlight some of the top challenges that faced by administrators today. So the VPN bandwidth capacity management is one of the top most challenge they're facing today, and we're going to see how to what are the possible solutions available using ManageEngine products. And also there is a difficulty in running regular security audits, and also there is inability to track the configuration change from remote locations, and insufficient mobile IT devices. As I said, the organizations were not ready, and in a short span, they were not able to provide IT devices to all their employees, and they were forced to adopt this bring your own devices policy. And so you need to make sure uh, you're protecting your network on these security issues as well. So with that, we are moving on to the next section. So this is the most interesting segment of this presentation. We are going to talk about some of the real-time scenarios, the challenges, and the possible solutions available. So first, I'm going to talk about the first scenario, delivering IT project in 30 days time. So let's say that you're working in a service-based company, and it's very clear that you'll be working on the projects all the time, and you will have project deliveries lined up. And in this new work from home scenario, it has become too difficult for the administrators to estimate the bandwidth usage for the VPN users. And as like you, there'll be different teams, different employees working on different projects, and they have their own deadline too. So they need to work on these projects to deliver that on time. So they need to access some of the key systems to get certain application or certain data. They need to exchange data between the teams. So they constantly need access to the corporate network. And because of this, many people started accessing the network through VPN, and many started complaining that it is slow, that because of this slowness, they are not able to meet their deadline, and which eventually delays the project. So the organizations need to ensure that they manage these VPN strategies properly, so that they can provide a reliable work from home experience for their employees. And the challenges ahead are the insufficient VPN. And before pandemic, everyone were working from office, and they were safely protected by the office network. And now it has become very challenge for the remote users to access even a very small business application remotely. And even if they get access to these applications, it is really slow, that they cannot get what they want on time, and it's really frustrating for these users to access or work from remote work from home to access any business applications. And on getting connected, and they are trying to download a file, and it's again really slow. They are trying to share certain files between the team, and they are trying to download a file to work on a project, and they are not able to do this. And even they are not able to download the files, and as well as they're not able to solve customer problems remotely. So that reflects the service level agreements on the company. It directly reflects the company reputation in the market as well. So how do you overcome all these challenges? So what you need to do in order to fix these problems? So you need to prioritize your VPN monitoring. You need to monitor all the VPN connections, all the IPs, all the users that are connected on the VPN, and you need to observe the VPN bandwidth consumption in the network. And you need to also observe if there are any large downloads happening in the VPN connection. And you need to check whether it is being done for a business purpose or non-business purpose. And also, you need to track the destination of the VPN user. So as soon as a user get connected to the VPN, you need to check where they land, whether they trying to access a business critical application, or whether they are on non-business critical application. If you see that more number of requests on non-business critical application, you can go ahead and block that. And also, you need to keep a tab on active VPN sessions during the peak hours. So you need to monitor the VPN bandwidth trends. So you know that how many number of users connected to your VPN on a Monday morning, or how many users are working on VPN on a Friday evening. So what is the total number of VPN connection, and so what is your peak time? So during the peak time, how many number of users are getting connected to the VPN? And so by monitoring all these aspects, you can make educated decision and you can do the capacity planning. And if there is a real need to increase the bandwidth after seeing the real load, you can go ahead and upgrade your bandwidth as well. And next, upgrading the bandwidth alone will not fix the problem. And here in the scenario 2, we are going to talk about prioritizing the traffic. So there is here's an example of a public research university in Greece, and they have multiple branches. They have 3 branches, one in Crete, another one in Athens, and another one in Patras. And they have an upload and download speed of 40 MB of bandwidth, and which is serving 70,000 users in the network. And all these users started complaining that the network is really slow, and they are not able to access any websites to make an appointment with the professors, or they're not able to download any questions or keys from their college websites. And this is becoming difficult for the students to get prepared for certain exams and so on. So the IT team worked on it to understand the possible causes for this high bandwidth usage. and they come to a conclusion that they see the bandwidth usage because of the increased VPN users. So the people who try to connect to the website from the VPN are more, and also there is a network overflows during peak hours. During peak hours, there are many live sessions happening. There are faculties held up with sessions, the students get connected to classes and so on. And also the increased bandwidth usage due to bring your own devices. Even this college recently adopted the bring your own devices policy by allowing the users to use their own devices to get connected to the network. And also they could see that a considerable amount of network bandwidth being used for some non-business critical applications. So they took a simple method to fix this problem. They first tried increasing the bandwidth. They upgraded the bandwidth to 60 MB, and they thought it would fix the problem. It does fix the problem for the first couple of days. Everyone were able to see the difference. It was very fast when they started working on it after upgrading the bandwidth. And after a couple of days, they could see that it is jumping back to the low bandwidth again. They're not able to see a steady performance. And since because of this, they thought they'll go back and optimize the bandwidth. So this is the very first step that you need to do whenever you need to work on improving the bandwidth. So what you have to do first, you need to understand the current QoS policies. So what are the policies that are applied on the application? So if you have any critical applications, you need to make sure that you apply a QoS policy by allowing maximum of your bandwidth to those applications, right? So and so that you can prioritize the bandwidth for critical applications. So if you have a business critical applications, then you need to make sure that you give priority to those applications. And also you need to control the unnecessary bandwidth usage. If you see that some of your users are trying to access any non-critical business applications, or they are on the gaming sites for a long time, or if they are on the movie sites and trying to download a huge file, and you need to control the unnecessary bandwidth usage like these, you can go ahead and block it, or you can go ahead and cap for low bandwidth on these non-business applications. And the another tip is you need to make sure that you segment the network by creating groups. So for example, if you have a site, if you have multiple branches, you need to create a group for by collecting all the interfaces, and you need to group them, and so that if there is there is a need to know that what is the total bandwidth usage on this create site, and you can, if you have a group in place, you can easily understand what is the bandwidth usage on here. And also you can, if you wanted to understand the bandwidth usage by departments in one particular site, you can create an IP group and create a group for each department and understand the bandwidth usage, bandwidth contribution by each of these department as well. So you got to do that. And that's what the organization did. And they first tried to block all the unwanted sites in their network. So they blocked the gaming sites, they blocked the movie sites and sports streaming websites. They blocked all these sites straight away. And they did a capping for the social media sites like YouTube and Facebook for 20%. And then what they did was they provided maximum of their bandwidth, like 80% to the business critical applications like Office 365, Zoho, Oracle, and SAP applications. And since then, they could see that there is a huge difference in the bandwidth usage, and the performance is really good. And so this is what you need to do whenever you wanted to improve the performance of the network bandwidth. You need to make sure that you optimize the existing bandwidth first. And if you see that there is a real load, then you can go about upgrading your bandwidth. So next, security management. So let's assume that you are the security admin of a financial concern, and you started to work from home in the recent times. And you must, as a security admin, you will be having access to your RPI console, your cloud console and orchestration tools. So you will have visibility of what users do. So what users access and how long they are accessing it for, from which location they are accessing it, and so on. And let us assume that you started receiving a lot of security complaints within the organization that some of your servers in the internal domain are down, and the hackers are maybe that's due to DDoS attack, and the hackers are demanding a huge sum of money to withdraw the attack. So how do you protect your network from these kind of cybersecurity attacks? As you know, these remote users are vulnerable to attack, right? So before the pandemic, they were safely protected using the corporate network, and now since they work remotely and become the easy target for the hackers, and the recent survey from VMware's endpoint protection platform, the VMware Carbon Black Cloud, reports that there is a 38% rise in cyber attacks on banks and other financial services. And the Department of Homeland Security, they alert all the organizations that you all need to be prepared for new cyber security threats that are targeting the work from home employees. And the checkpoint research says that there is a global increase in coronavirus themed spam emails. And one of the recent victim was EasyJet Airline, and they claim that 9 million customers' data were hacked. Right? So you need to make sure that you need to protect all these networks. And also there is a rise in BYOD adoption. Yes, because organizations were not able to provide the company laptops or IT devices to all their employees, and they were forced to adopt this bring your own devices policy. And as you can see on the picture, not the remote employee one got access, got the office laptop and started working from home, and the remote employee 2 and 3 were using their home laptop and trying to connect to the corporate network and start working. And so what is the concern? The securities are a major concern for these organizations by adopting these BYOD. And there is a recent survey that says 61% of organizations are worried about data leakage by adopting this BYOD adoption. And 53% are concerned about unauthorized data. And with a zero trust policy, by allowing employees to use their home laptop to get connected to the corporate network, and without a proper BYOD platform, is a major risk taken by any organization in the world today. But they are forced to do that. They have no other choice because they need to keep up the productivity going. And this is easy for hackers because using home laptop, they'll also be having third-party applications installed for their personal use. And all these are easily infiltrated by malware. And all these malware can easily attack a network and the domain. So how do you protect your network from such security threats? So prioritize network security analysis and monitoring. You need to make sure that you monitor the VPN users and ensure that the communication is encrypted. And also you need to have keep track of all the failed logins and understand who is trying to attack, who is trying to connect to your network with failed login, and so on. And you need to monitor the VPN traffic and the firewall. And also, if there are any spacious uploads or downloads happening in the network, you need to identify that. This very difficult to identify that from the logs, but you need to make sure that you have tools that supports network behavior analysis. So that can easily identify if there are any abnormal behavior in the network. And also you need to set thresholds for security attacks like DDoS attacks, because when DDoS attacks happen, they'll try to send many requests to UDP protocol. So you can set thresholds accordingly. So you are notified about that problem as and when it hits your network. And one simple rule is you make sure that you allow the employees to use their home laptops to connect to your corporate network only when you have a proper BYOD platform in place. So next we have is scenario 3, preventing unauthorized changes. Let's assume that you are a network admin for a college, and you'll be having more than one administrators working along with you to do configuration changes on the network devices. So as a network admin, you need to make sure that you know who is doing what change at what time and so on. So if any changes that goes to network devices shouldn't go without your approval. All right. So you need to prevent the unauthorized changes with approval workflow. So you need to have a, a system in place which allows you to execute that properly. So you need to make sure that you provide users control over the network, and you create an account for them, and so that whenever they do any change, it doesn't go to the network device directly. It will come as a draft to your request, and then you can just go ahead, see the draft, and understand if it is a valid change or not, and you can approve it. If it is an invalid change, you can put a comment and saying that you hold this for a moment, or we can do this next week or next month, and something like that. So you need to have a system in place to control this configuration changes, so that you can reduce the configuration errors that goes to the network devices. In terms, you can also avoid any outage happening because of this. And is that all? No, you also need to ensure you're compliant to industry standards. Like, you need to manage the compliances for the policies like HIPAA, PCI, and so on. You need to identify the devices with configuration changes. So whatever the change that goes into the network devices, you need to keep track of all those devices, so that you are aware of the devices that are in changes. And also you can define notifications, so you can ensure that you configure the change notification to get notified about any unauthorized changes. So any unauthorized changes, meaning if these users are not in the tool, and they are trying to connect to the network devices directly, and trying to execute any change, so you need to make sure that that will be considered as the unauthorized changes according to the system, and you will be alerted about that unauthorized change. And you also need to identify the devices with violation. If any devices that are violated, and you need to keep track of those devices as well, so that you can make sure that it is compliant. By executing few changes, you can make sure that that particular device also is compliant to the specific policy, so that you're audit ready for that. And there are tools that support remedial actions as well. For example, if you identify a device with violation, and also you can take a remedial action to make it compliant. So anyway, to apply the configuration changes to make it compliant, you're going to do that. And the tools that support remedial template you can define a template for those configuration changes, and you can tag that to the specific devices, so that when it is made compliant, and when these devices are identified with violations, it will automatically execute the remedial template and make it compliant. And next, scenario 4 is there is a high demand for in-house collaboration and video conferencing tools, right? Yes, let's say you're working in a banking sector, and the security and privacy is a major concern for any organizations, right? Any banking sectors, it is a major concern. So they started developing their own in-house video conferencing tools. And before this pandemic, it was not very much used by all the employees of these banking sectors. But after this pandemic, they started using this video conferencing tools to its full potential, that for communication or collaboration, So they started using this tool a lot, and they could see that after a while it is slowing down, though sometimes it is not used to its full potential, that it can handle up to 10 live sessions and a maximum of 100 users, though at times only 20 people are in the video conferencing, but they could see that the application is really slow for some 5 employees, and it's really fast for some another 15 employees. So how could an application become slow for few of them and really fast for others? So how do you identify such problems in the network? So these video conferencing tools are resource intensive, and you need to make sure that you prioritize the application monitoring for this, and you need to make sure that you have enough system resources applied for these devices. You need to identify the device for performance metrics like CPU, memory, disk utilization, and so on. And also you need to have tools that supports to provide you insight on the code level information. So when an application is slow, you must know why it is slow. So whether it is because of Java, whether it is because of DB query that is very slow, or whether it is because of a web page which is running with the high quality images slowing down the performance. So you need to keep track of all these things. You can define thresholds and get notified about all these issues. And also you need to have tools that supports or that measures the end user experience. So with the Abdex score, you can easily understand whether the user is happy or not. So you need to make sure you have tools that supports measuring the end user experience as well. So with that, we are coming to the end of the challenges part, and I'm going to introduce you to ITOM Suite. So we have a line of products available. So I would like to start with Firewall Analyzer. So Firewall Analyzer is a log and policy management and configuration management software. So using Firewall Analyzer, so what the simple thing that you need to do is just make sure that your firewall device is sending out, exporting all the syslogs to Op Manager, the application, the Firewall Analyzer server. So once it is done, you can easily monitor the complete VPN infrastructure traffic and monitor the security anomalies. And you can also get the VPN trend reports and plan for the capacity, and you can do the firewall audits for security loopholes, and you can make sure you can observe the compliance standards of the firewall policies, and you can also optimize the firewall rules using the policy management. And next we have is network bandwidth analysis and management with Netflow Analyzer. So the Netflow Analyzer is going to help you monitor the bandwidth using the NetFlows exported from the routers to generate reports. So using Netflow, you can monitor the bandwidth, you can monitor the traffic, and you can do the bandwidth analysis using the advanced security analytics module. And also you can do the network behavior analysis using the 4 and 6 reports available in Netflow Analyzer. And next we have is Network Configuration Manager that helps you monitor the device configurations, help you take regular backups and compliance and change management. So this helps you reduce the configuration errors by detecting the real-time changes happening in your network. Not only that, it helps you roll back to the previous configuration. If any, it identifies any unauthorized change in the network, and it helps you roll back to the previous stable configuration, that too automatically, so that if any unauthorized changes that trying to upload in the device, and it jump back to the previous stable configuration automatically, so that it helps you avoid those configuration errors. And it helps you stay compliant to the policies like HIPAA, SOX, PCI, and also helps you streamline the maintenance process. And next, Op Manager, that helps you, it's completely a web-based end-to-end network monitoring software that helps you monitor the network devices like routers, switches, firewalls, and printers and network cameras and so on. It helps you identify the issues, and with the help of workflow features available in Op Manager, it helps you fix these issues automatically. So you can define the remediations, you can define the flows of when an issue is identified, what should be the cause for this problem and how to rectify this. So you can create a flow and execute that. So when that particular problem is identified, it will execute that workflow to fix that problem automatically. And it also helps you monitor the VM infrastructures, virtual infrastructures, like VMware, Hyper-V, Zen Server, Nutanix, and storage devices as well. And next we have is Applications Manager. So using this Applications Manager, you can get the in-depth code level visibility to understand why the application is slow. And it helps you monitor every component of the infrastructure. And it helps you monitor the health of Java, .NET, PHP, Node.js, Ruby environments, and so on. It also has tools like synthetic transaction monitoring to help you understand the application behavior for the end user. So how the application is responding for the end user in multiple locations. So you are sitting in Greece and you wanted to know how your application is performing for a student who is accessing it from Israel. So you can just go ahead and use this synthetic transaction monitoring. That will help you provide data of the users who are using your application in multiple locations. And next is Obturas. So this helps you do IP address and switch port management. It helps you monitor the IP addresses and switch ports, and it helps you provide the advanced reports of IP diagnostics, and it also helps you detect any rogue devices in the network. So we discussed about the various tools that are available under IT operations category, right from Op Manager, Netflow Analyzer, Network Configuration Manager, Firewall Analyzer, Applications Manager, and Obturas. And we have got everything together and under one umbrella called Op Manager Plus. So Op Manager Plus is a product that have all these products as a module inside this. So all in one solution, Op Manager Plus. Let me go into the product and give you a quick demonstration on this product. So even if you wanted to check out this product, you can just simply type in demo.opmanagerplus.com. So you can, you don't need a sign up, you don't need to download anything. So it's an online demo. You can go ahead and visit this and get all your questions clarified here. So what about the modules that you are interested in? You can just go ahead and check it. So if you go to under the inventory section, this is where you will see all the devices that you wanted to monitor are discovered and available here. And you wanted to take an example, you just click on a certain device and you see more information on those devices like availability, packet loss, response time, and it also helps you monitor the performance metrics of CPU, memory, buffer misses of a router, buffer hits of a router, and so on. So we'll go back to the inventory page. So it also helps you show the number of devices available in each category, like server, router, firewall. And you want to take a look at that in the type of devices that you have. So you want to know how many number of Windows devices you have, how many number of Juniper devices you have. You can drill down that based on type. And you can also drill down that based on vendor to understand how many Microsoft devices you have, how many Cisco devices you have, and so on. And under the network section, you have each of the other product as a module available under the network section. And on the flow analysis, it's a bandwidth management software that helps you monitor the bandwidth flow of the network devices. And under the config management, so this module is going to help you back up the devices of network devices for any configuration changes that happens on your device, and it will version the backup and store that in the database. So you can have a history of backup of the configurations happened in this particular device, and you have the config details. So what type of change is made, whether it is authorized or unauthorized. And you also have the firmware vulnerabilities. So whatever the vulnerabilities that you have, it is listed. And you have the backup summary of the devices, how many backups were made, on which day the backups were made, and what is the history, and so on. And if there are any compliance conflicts, so it is going to list you those devices with severities like major, critical, warning, and compliant. And as I was telling you, so it is listing all the devices that are with policy violations. And if you have remediation template tagged, you will have the templates tagged right away to this site, and you can just click on that particular template to make it compliant to the device straight away. And next we have is the firewall log analysis. As I said, once you export the firewall logs to Op Manager Plus, it will start monitoring the firewall traffic and so on. So you can pull out the reports of firewall right from here. So you can get the firewall report for VPN reports, and you can do the policy optimization. So if you see lacks of rules created in firewalls and you wanted to optimize those firewalls, the unused firewalls, so you will have a list of firewall rules with category based of used, unused, and frequently used, and so on. And you have the IP management for IP address and switch port management as well. So you can just drill down to the IP address to understand what is how many number of IP addresses are available in a particular subnet. And then in terms of applications manager, so you can just go to apps tab, so which will list all the applications that you're monitoring. I'll just quickly show you a demo from the applications manager website because we don't have data available in Op Manager Plus demo. Okay, so this is how you will see the applications manager module inside Op Manager. So let me take an example of .NET. I'll just go to the monitor information page, and you could see more information about the threads, memory, and so on. So I'll go to APM Insight to give you more information about the applications on code level. So here you have the AppTech score of this particular application, the user's score. So this, by seeing this, you can understand how many users are really happy using your application. So here 99.4% of the users using the applications are really happy, 0.1 are tolerating, and 0.5% are frustrated. So using this, you can understand how your application is performing, and you can see the transaction of each page and what is the AppTech score, what is the count, how many time it was executed, what is the error, what is the average response time, and what is the DB query that is slowing down the performance. By looking at the response time, you can understand that. You can also trace for any errors. So any Java errors or any code level issues, you can understand that from here. And you can also look out for expectations and app parameters and so on. So this is it all about the Op Manager Plus, where we have everything under one umbrella. If you wanted to give it a try, you can just go ahead and try demo.opmanagerplus.com. So with that, I'll move on to jump back to the presentation slides. And we have ebooks available for various topics, and I have already provided the 2 ebooks for you. One is 11 security best practices, and the other one is VPN management. I've already available in handout, so you can just go ahead and download it. For if you are interested in other topics like BYOD and the work from home and keep your API well protected. So if you're interested in other topics, you can just go ahead, access this link and download it. And with that, some of the awards and recognition for IT operations products. So we are into Gartner Peer Insight Customer Choices, and we are also into Magic Quadrant of Gartner for the consecutive 2 years. And also we are recognized by EMA, and we have some of our customers listed here: L'Oreal Paris, and NASA, Siemens, and AT&T. And you want to know more, I would recommend you to write an email to us using eval-itom@manageengine.com. And with that, we are coming to the end of the session. Thank you for listening to me. And you have any questions, please feel free to post it. We have a panelist team who can answer your questions right away. Once again, thank you very much for listening to me. Have a good day.